Hello everyone and welcome to Queen City Airways. Today we're going to be doing a full FlyByWire A320neo tutorial. This will be in different video sections, so today's video is going to be the cold and dark to preparing for pushback. So I hope you guys learned something new in this video and enjoy your flight on Queen City Airways. Let's get started. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to simbrief.com and set up our flight plan, as it makes everything so much easier when we get into the aircraft. So we're going to come over here and go to the dispatch system page, and here we go. We're going to create a new flight, and if you want to copy it, feel free. If not, then you could just put everything you want into this. So today we're going to be British Airways flight 436 from Heathrow to Schiphol. And I'm going to set our time to 10:50 a.m. local time. Okay. And our aircraft is the A320-200neo, and you could go to variant and click on the fly-by-wire version. And then we could generate our flight. It'll take a couple of seconds, and that's it in SimBrief. I'll see you guys back in the flight deck. Alright, welcome to the flight deck of the A320neo. I'm going to come over here to the iPad real quick, and there is our flight plan. If not, you just click right there and it should come up. And there are a few settings here as realism. I have the IRS align time to fast, or else you're going to be waiting 10 minutes. And everything else is pretty much what the normal settings were. Okay, so let's go to the overhead panel. Okay, first thing we want to do is we're going to turn on the batteries 1 and 2, and since we have external power available, we will click on that, and that is going to start everything up. If you don't have external power, you can get the APU started immediately. Okay, now we're going to turn on our nav lights right here. And we're going to come up to the IRSs and put those on nav 1, 2, and 3. Here you come down here, turn the crew supply on, and the ground control. That's it for the overhead panel for now. Alright, now we're going to be down at the FMC. We're going to go to the init page and click on init request, which if you have a SimBrief profile loaded into the plane, you can get your information like the flight plan and your flight number and cruising altitude and all of that stuff with just one click. So I highly recommend that you use SimBrief. Okay, and there you go. We're going to come over to the flight plan, and we are going to click on EGLL Heathrow, click on departure, and our runway is going to be a 7, right? So the BPK7F SID with no transition. And then we're going to click on our arrival airport, arrival, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to be ILS runway 06 via the red F1A. And there it is. There is no via there. And insert that. And now, quickly, I'm going to look at the flight plan right here. So we're going to go to plan. And just click that up arrow and make sure you don't have any discontinuities in the route. Like right there. Alright. So I'm just going to connect those. AM110. So click on that and click on AM110 to connect those waypoints. I think it is this one right here, I believe. And I do not know why why this happens with the lights. Just there we go. Now we have one solid flight plan. We are going to come back over to the tablet over here, click on this little ground truck, come over to fuel. That's what the fuel looks like. We can come over to our load sheet and scroll down, or wherever it is. Nope, there it is. Block fuel 3.9. So we'll come back over here and 3900 and go put it on fast and start refueling. Okay, we'll also start boarding while we're at it. That jet bridge connected, and come over to payload, go to fast and begin boarding. Now we can come back down to our FMC here, go to the fuel page, and our ZFW is going to be 60.59 or 60.6. I'll just do 60 slash whatever the percent is, which is going to be 32.74, so 32.7 is good. Okay, click on fuel planning, block confirm, and there we go. Now I'm going to come over back here, come over to the calculator, fill in that data, and make sure your airport runway are correct, calculate, and there's our V1 and our V speeds and our flaps and flex temperature. So come over to the perf page, type in those numbers, then 1 for flaps, and our flex out temperature is 69 degrees. There we go. And that is it for the flight plan, or the FMC for now. So I'll just go back to the flight plan page and get that done. Alrighty, back to the overhead panel. I'm going to turn on our emergency lights. I'm going to turn on our no portable electronic devices to on, or auto. Doesn't make a difference. Seatbelts to on. And I'm going to get our fuel pumps on. As well as I'm going to start the APU, click that master switch, wait 3 seconds, and then click start. And on that screen right there,
Boarding
you should
completed.
start to see these numbers go up. Alrighty, once you see that APU avail right there on our screen, come back to the overhead panel and disconnect external power. Then you can come over to the tablet right here, back to the ground services, and get that ground power unit off. And it did also say that boarding was completed, so we can get the jet bridge disconnected. And if you go to this first page, it should tell you what our pressure is. So it's 998. So we're going to switch the QNH to 998 on both sides of our display. As well as on this, don't forget this little screen down here. There we go. And if you come over to the tablet, if you have Navigraph, you can come right here and to our departure airport. And our star today is BPK7F. So come over to SID VK7F. And I'm going to pin that. And our transition altitude is 6,000. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the autopilot panel. Go. Everything else right on this side should have that closed dot right there, and both flight directors should be on. The last thing we're going to come down here and do is we're going to come to our ATC panel and set this right here to auto. Keep that on standby right there. So if you are not using GSX Pro, you can come over to that ground and come to Pushback and either pre-plan or do your pushback manually. But I am going to be doing our pushback with GSX today. So I'm going to get the tug connected here. Alright, so if you have messages in the FMC, you can clear any of those out right now. And if you have to adjust any lighting on these screens, then all you have to do is mess with these brightness panels here, and if you need to change the autopilot panel brightness of anything right there and right there, as well as down here for these displays, and same thing over there. Alright, so now that the pushback tug is on, we can turn that beacon light on right now and get the APU bleed on. Okay, now that the APU bleed is on, we should be close to ready for pushback. Alrighty, that pushback tug has started, so that means we can start our engines. So we're gonna come down here, put our starter to ignition, and start engine number 1. On that display right there, you should see right here this side going up, all these numbers going up, and highlighted right there. There we go, that engine is spinning back here. Please take a moment now to locate your closest sector and remember it may be behind you. If there is a change in cabin pressure, more oxygen mask will drop from overhead. Firmly pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen. Place the mask over your nose and mouth, pull the elastic bands around your head, and tighten the strap from both sides. Even though the bags are not split, oxygen will be flowing. Be sure to put your mask on first before helping others, and let you know when it's no longer needed. Please set parking brakes. Alright, now that confirmation for a good engine start. Alright, now that has become unhighlighted and this engine is available, we're going to come back down and we're going to start engine number 2. Same thing should happen. We're also going to prepare here. We're going to put our auto brake on max right there. Come up here, turn our strobes to auto, our nose light to taxi, and our runway turn off light on. Alrighty. Alrighty, now that we have a good engine start, we're gonna come down here and set that ignition back to normal. And we're gonna come up to the APU, turn off the APU bleed, turn off the APU. Bypass pin removed. Turn off that APU. Left is clear, right is clear. Okay. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to come to our flight controls. We are going to make sure our flight controls are working. So, full right, full left, full up, full down, rudder to the right, neutral, rudder to the left, and our flight controls are good. So we're going to set our flaps to flaps 1 and arm our spoilers there. Okay. Right. we're gonna put our terrain on their display right there if it comes up. And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna come down here and just make sure that everything right here is good. All of this is not in the cutoff position, not in off, and this is normal. And we can begin our taxi here. So slowly push forward on that throttle, release your parking brake, and there you go, we're starting to move. And one more thing, I'm gonna put that throttle back to idle, as it could get a little fast if you keep it moving up. We're gonna click on that takeoff config button, and it should say takeoff config normal. You could do this at any point during the taxi just before takeoff. So now we're just going to taxi over to runway 27 right, and I'll see you guys once we get close to the runway. Alrighty, we are now on the runway, so what I'm going to do is come up here, turn those runway landing lights on, and the nose light to take off, as well as the strobe light on. And then I'm going to come down to back to that ATC panel and set this from standby to TA.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
I'm also going to set our weather panel to system 1 and PWS to auto. Then all you have to do is make sure that there's no blue here and no orange. So the cabin needs to be checked. Come up here, click on that cabin call on all. Hear that ding. Should go away, and we are ready for takeoff. So I'm going to start the clock right there and the chrono right there. Release parking brake, go to about 50%. Once you start moving, I'm going to go to flex. Put some forward pressure right there on the side stick. Try and stay as center line as I possibly can. Once at 100, I'm going to release the forward pressure. V1, rotate, pull back on that side stick lightly, and lift off. There we go, and we are in the air. And once we are at about 500 feet of altitude, we are going to switch on that autopilot. So positive rate and gear is coming up. 500 feet. Autopilot 1 is on. Pull that throttle back to climb, and auto throttle should come on. And now we're looking good. I'm going to set our flaps back to 0 and retract our spoilers. Alrighty, since we have departed, we're just gonna go that altitude up to our cruising altitude, which is 23,000. Right click on that, and we should start to gain altitude again shortly, depending on what our waypoints altitudes are. So yep. And once you get to that transition altitude, you can set your QNH to standard pressure, which I'll do here once we pass 6,000 feet. Alrighty, close enough. And I'm gonna put it on standard pressure. And don't forget about that small screen down here too. And if it is not changing to standard pressure, sometimes if you are on keyboard and mouse, if you have a keyboard and mouse and playing on PC, you do have to hold it down and then click on the scroll wheel. Alright, and now we are cruising our way out. So I'll see you guys back in a few seconds here when we are at 10,000 feet. Alrighty, welcome back. We have just passed 10,000 feet, which means that we can now turn off all of these lights right here that are for takeoff and landing. So, I'll have to retract them. You're just gonna turn the landing lights off, and the nose light off, as well as the runway turn off light. I also will take the seatbelt sign off now, and we will be cruising up to our cruising altitude, which we should be at our cruising altitude around where this arrow is right here. So I'll see you then. Alrighty, we have reached our cruising altitude, and as you can see, we are not that far away from our initial descent either. We are coming up around 20 miles from our top of descent, so we're going to come over to this tablet and come over to the calculator, go to landing, fill in our data, and the only thing we're going to need is our approach speed, which if you come down here, it might tell you right there, 132, right there at the airport. So we're gonna put that right there into here real fast and calculate, and there we go. That's all we need out of that. I'm also gonna come over here and get our charts up for our arrival, which is going to be a let me take a look real quick. Which is going to be red F1A, which is right here. We'll pin that right there, and then we're going to do one more chart, which is the approach on runway 6. So ILS, hit that right there, zoom in. Let's take a look at our ILS chart real quick. So we're gonna have to capture the glide slope at what altitude? So around 2,000 feet, I'm pretty sure, right there. That's where it wants us to capture glide slope. Yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna go back to our other chart right here. So we'll be coming in from this chart right here. And yeah, that's all we need there. So we have passed our initial descent. Whoopsies. I'm gonna go down to, let's just do 10,000 for now. Make sure that dot is right there. And it'll follow the constraints for each point right here on the screen. Okay, now you're gonna get that enter destination data. Now that we've started our initial descent, we're gonna go to the perf, go to the next one, and now it wants the QNH and the temperature. Come over to that front page.
From the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we have begun our initial descent down to our destination.
So
now would be a good time to wrap up any business you need to take care of as we prepare for our approach. If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated till the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival.
Okay. Go temperature, mag, wind, 130 degrees 8 knots. / transition altitude. We'll be back on one of our charts. Come over to our actual approach chart. Transition altitude is it's by ATC. There we go. We'll just do 3000 as set right there. Okay. 3000 on the trans altitude, and our baro, which is our minimums, is going to be 189 feet. Okay. Alright, I think nothing else right there. This should be already filled out, but if not, it is right here. Okay. There we go. Now we just have to wait, and once we are around 10 or 5,000 feet out, we'll activate our approach phase. So, without further ado, I'm gonna speed this up and meet you when we get down a bit lower. Alrighty, so as you can see, our next waypoint is wants us to be above 7,000, so I'm just gonna go straight down to 7,000 right there. As you can see, we are still descending nicely, and we're still over the water here, but as you can see, the land is starting right over there through the clouds. Not much else to do, but just monitor, make sure you're still descending, everything's going well, and until you get to 10,000 feet, there's really nothing you can do except make sure that everything's going good. And as you can see, that if you're ever above your speed and it's not decreasing, as you can see, it is nicely, but if it isn't, you'll just have to arm your spoilers to 1/2 or full, depending on how much it is necessary. Alrighty, we have passed 10,000 feet, which means we gotta get our runway turn-off lights, landing lights, and nose light to take off, as well as putting them seatbelt sign back on. And just remember to continue monitoring that altitude based on what is necessary. So as we pass this, I'm just going to put it straight down to 2,000. And if you've already passed your transition altitude, you will have to take this off standard and put it on the local air pressure, which in my case is 1007, but I'm not at the transition altitude yet. Alrighty, I'm just going to go ahead right now and set our barometric pressure. So it is 1007. So I click and set it on both sides. And make sure down here as well. Now we will soon be starting flaps and approach. I'm also going to set our auto brake to low as this is a long runway. Alrighty, since we are getting pretty close, I'm going to manage our speed here down to around 200. And here are your flaps, max speeds here. So for flaps 1, you need 230 knots. So as we slowly climb below 230 knots, I am going to come down here and set flaps 1. There we go, flaps 1. Should see right here. It should be helpful on flaps 1 right there. You can slowly slow down. And in this case, on our approach, we want to be at 160. So I'm going to slowly slow us down here. And turn our LS displays on for ILS. And also, I'm going to activate our approach phase here. And for our transition altitude, we need to make sure that this diamond right here is in the center, as well as a horizontal diamond should come in after, which will happen once we make our final left turn onto final. Alrighty, I'm going to set flaps 2 here and reduce our speed a little bit more as well. You should be able to have eyes on the airport right there, as I do. And I'm gonna get our landing gear down since it is only a short final. As well
Flight
as our
attendants,
speed
please prepare
down,
for landing.
as well as our speed down to 160 as well.
2,500.
And there, we should see right there that our landing gear's down, and I'm going to get flaps 3 and armor spoilers as well. And once we do end up starting our turn right here, gonna capture the localizer right there, which automatically gets the heading of the airport and sets it in so you fly the heading of your airport. Okay. And runway is in sight, and once we do straighten up here, once we do center, both of these diamonds are in the center of these yellow lines, we can go ahead and activate approach mode, which will descend our plane based on the approach path. Okay, I'm going to go flaps full. There we go, we are starting to descend here. And I can go back to managed speed, so it's gonna go down. Alrighty, if you do have GSX, you can get a follow me. If not, you could just go to any gate you really want to. We could take those LS's off right there. We go. Oh, whoops. And we're just gonna slowly keep in under 30 knots on the taxiway. Alrighty, we are going to set our parking brake. Come over to this tablet right here. Oops, whoops, come to services. I'm gonna connect the jet bridge and come down here. Turn off both of our engines because our APU is available. And that is it there. Now we just have to turn off all of our lights. Alright, seatbelt signs down, all of the lights off here. Weather can come off here. It's pretty much shut down. Alright, we are going to turn off our IRSs here. Cut fuel pumps. And whenever everything's done here, turn off the cruise supply. And whenever you're really ready to turn off the aircraft, all you have to do is click this. And there we go. That's it. Oops. Alrighty guys, that is going to conclude our FlyByWire A320neo tutorial series. I really do hope you learned something new and enjoyed this 3-part series. If you did enjoy, then please consider subscribing and turning on notifications so that you'll be back for more posts just like this. And that's all I got for you guys, so enjoy yourselves, have a good rest of your day, and see you in the next one. Goodbye, folks.